Hello everyone, welcome to Cloud Chat 365. So in our previous tutorial, we have talked about resources and resource group in Azure, about virtual machines in Azure, virtual machine family and instance sizes in Azure, and we see how to deploy a Windows virtual machine in Azure. So in this session, we are going to see the continuation of managing the Azure compute resources. So myself is Devraj. I am a Microsoft certified trainer for Azure AZ104, AZ400 and AZ500. Let's get into the topic. So in this session, we are going to see about how to set up a web server on Windows virtual machine and how to build a Linux VM and deploy a web server, and we are going to see about a state of virtual machine. So first, we log into the Windows server and see how to deploy a Windows web server IaaS role. Okay friends, so now I'm in Azure portal. So let me go ahead and see the virtual machines which I have. So now here I have a Windows web server. We are going to install an IaaS web server on this virtual machine. So let me go to connect. I will download the RDP file to connect this machine. So we have an RDP file here. I'm trying to connect. So we logged into the Windows web server. Okay, we have successfully logged into the server. To install a web server, let me go to server manager. Add roles and features, role based installation. So we are confirming the server name, and if you scroll down you will see the option for web server IaaS and add the features. Just give simply next, 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 and if you require any specific web services you can explore and install it. So I'm just going with the default. So next and install. So it will take a couple of minutes. We will get back once the installation is done. Now the installation has been completed successfully. So let me close this wizard, close this server console. So let me go to the public IP address of this virtual machine and try to access the web server. So let me copy this public IP address, open a new tab and paste it here. I'm trying to access the website. So it is loading, but the website is not loading. It's trying to access the web role, but it's unable to fetch the data. The reason here is we have not allowed the port 80 to the particular virtual machine to fetch the data from the web server. To access the web server, we need to allow the port 80 on the particular virtual machine. So that I'm going to the virtual machine. So demo web server Windows. I'm going to the networking. Under networking, you have see the inbound port rules for the particular virtual machine. So here we need to allow the port 80. Add a inbound port rule and source is any and destination is any, and we are allowing port 80. The protocol is TCP and we just leave the priority. Allow port 80 in the description for our reference and just click add. So now if I state the notification, the security rule has been created. Now I'm trying to access the page on the particular browser. Now we are able to see the website page from the particular server. Let me try to go to this web server and try to change some little modification on the website page, home page. So let me go for init www root start edit. So let me bring the text box. Welcome to Azure. So we have made some modifications on the home page. I have saved the modifications. Let me go and refresh the web page. So now we are able to see the reflection of the new modifications in the web server. So this is how you need to install an IIS on Windows web server. So next we are going to see about how to deploy a Linux virtual machine and how to deploy a nginx web server role on the particular server. Let's go and see. To deploy a virtual machine on Linux, click on virtual machines, add a virtual machine, select a resource group, virtual machine name. So let me give demo Linux VM and let me choose the region as East US and image I will go for Ubuntu and virtual machine sizes I leave it as default, and instead of creating an SSH encryption key I will go with the password. So let me go to the next disk options. So before going to disk options, let me allow the port SSH22. Okay, SSH22 is allowed. We need this SSH port for accessing the Linux machine from the remote. So next disk, so I leave it everything as a default. So if you go to the network, you can see we are getting a new subnet, a new public IP to access the VM, and a new security group has been created, which is a basic, and everything I will leave it as a default and click on create. So we are deploying a Linux virtual machine now. It will take a couple of minutes. We will get back once the VM is deployed. Okay, now we have successfully deployed our virtual machine. So let me go to resources and I able to see the public IP address, size of the virtual machine, and the OS is Linux Ubuntu. Okay, so let's access the Linux virtual machine. To access the Linux virtual machine, we need a tool called PuTTY. So PuTTY is a client tool which helps to take a remote session of Linux servers. Now let me try to install a PuTTY application onto this machine. So for this I need to go for putty.org. So putty.org. So download PuTTY. So you can download PuTTY here. I'm going for 64-bit. So the setup is downloaded. I'm running the MSI package. This is a simple installation. Next, install. Okay, the PuTTY tool has been installed. So let me open. Let me open the PuTTY tool. Okay, so in the demo Linux VM, I'll just copy the public IP address, paste it in the host name, and we already allowed port 22. So using the port 22, we are doing SSH and click open. So we will get this warning message whenever we log in to the Linux virtual machine for the first time for the key exchange. So give yes, give the user ID and the password. So now we have successfully logged into the Linux virtual machine. So first what we are going to do is we are going to update the packages. So sudo apt-get update. And now we are going to install nginx web server. Okay, now the nginx web server installation is completed on this Linux virtual machine. So now I'm trying to access the web page. So here we won't get this page because we allowed only port SSH22 for the particular virtual machine. So I'm trying to allow the port 80. So I'm going for networking for the virtual machine. Add an inbound port rule. Source port, destination port is any. So allowing port 80. Allow port 80. And add an inbound port rule. So now we are creating a security rule. We got a notification security rule created successfully, and just a minute of I'm trying to refresh this web page. So now we get the web page of nginx. So this is how we need to create a Linux virtual machine and deploy an nginx web server on it. So next we are going to see about the state of virtual machine. So whenever we deploy a virtual machine in Azure, so let me explain you. So whenever we deploy a virtual machine on Azure, we will get a two type of disk. One is a managed disk and another one is a temporary disk. So the managed disk we use for high availability and which is of 127 GB, and we also get a temporary disk for just time being to copy and paste the application, but we cannot use the temporary disk for installing the application or placing a persistent data on it. The reason is the data on temporary disk is lost during a maintenance, or if you stop and restart and if you stop or deallocate the VM, the data on the temporary disk will be deleted. So if I further scroll down, so just consider you have a physical server on Azure and you have hosted multiple VM onto this physical server, and whenever you restart the VM, the public IP address will remain same and the data also on the temporary disk will be remain same. But if you stop or deallocate the VM, the public IP address will be lost because we are assigning a dynamic public IP address for a virtual machine. So the IP will be released, and whenever you start the machine again, the virtual machine again, you will get a new public IP address. As same as the data on the temporary storage disk also get erased. Let's go ahead and see a demo of state of virtual machine. So I'm getting back into the Azure portal. Oh, let me erase this. So I'm back into the Azure portal. I'm trying to access the web server demo VM to showcase the state of virtual machine. So if you go to the disk part, you're able to see we have got 127 GB of a managed disk, and we also got a temporary storage disk. So if you open the temporary storage disk and if you open the notification readme, they have clearly mentioned any data stored on this drive is subject to loss. There is no way to recover it. So they have clearly mentioned. So let me try to create a new file, sample, welcome to Azure. Let me save this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just restart the virtual machine. So I'm trying to restart. If you see, the public IP address is ending with 235. So you can also note down. Just for your reference, let me copy this public IP address and paste it in. Now I'm trying to restart the virtual machine. So the virtual machine is restarting. We will get a notification here once the machine is restarted. Okay, we got a notification now. The virtual machine is restarted successfully. Let me try to access the virtual machine, and you can see the public IP is same as we have noted. It's ending with 235 and 235. The public IP address is not changed. And let me try to access the VM and see whether the data is on the temporary storage disk. Let me go to the temporary storage disk, and I'm able to see the sample data is there. So the data is there even restart the virtual machine. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the virtual machine. So I'm going to deallocate the virtual machine. So let me go to stop, and you can see the warning is there. The public IP address will be lost if the VM is stopped. So even we have an option to reserve the public IP address. So you can click the checkbox here, and if you give OK, the public IP address for this virtual machine will be reserved, and it will start the billing for you. So let me go to stop, and I have not marked the checkbox, and click OK. So now we are stopping the virtual machine. And now we got a notification. Now we have successfully stopped the virtual machine, and I am going to start the virtual machine. Now here you can see the public IP address is not allocated, so it's just showing Webserver Windows IP, the name of the host name of the virtual machine. So now I'm starting the virtual machine. Let's come back once the virtual machine is started. And now we got a notification started the virtual machine, and if I go to the public IP address, you can see the new public IP address, which is different than the previous one. So let me copy the new public IP address and try to access RDP, passing the user credentials. So if I go to the temporary storage disk and see the file which we have created, you see the file is deleted. So from this demo we have clearly saw storing a data on the temporary storage disk will erase the data if we deallocate and stop the virtual machine. So that's all for the demo to the session. So we will get back to the summary of this session. So we came to the summary of this session. So in this session we have seen how to set up an IaaS on a Windows web server, and we have seen how to deploy a Linux VM on Azure, and we deployed a nginx web server on this Linux server, and we have seen the state of virtual machine. So continue to our further session. We will see more about on compute and manage our resources on Microsoft Azure. Friends, if you like this tutorial, please hit like and keep supporting me, and share your comments on the comment section. And if you are not subscribed to CloudChat 365, please do a subscribe to get all the notification of my latest videos. Have a nice day to you all. Happy learning.